Round 10, the Intercontinental Rally Challenge, the penultimate round indeed, and the third running of the Rally of Scotland. First gravel event since the Azores back in July. Conditions, though, very different here. Rain expected to add to the difficult surface. Here's the rally starting off at Stirling Castle. 2 nights run of the Carron Valley. The next day starting in the morning with a further 6 stages. And the final day, 7 stages, finishing up at Scone Palace for the finale. This is Scotland, home of the brave. Being brave and fearless, part of the attributes necessary to succeed right here. The stunning backdrops of Stirlingshire, Perth and Kinross. Yes, and our driver standings coming into this one. Jan Kopecki, our leader, ahead of Freddie Loix, absent from this run. Thierry Neuville, the Belgian, the youngster. A couple of wins this season and looking very good indeed. Guy Wilkes hoping to make amends for what has been an unfortunate season, I think you could say, at Persia. Skoda, our top dogs coming here. Peugeot in the chase, but surely a race perhaps won already in the manufacturer's standings. So what about Guy Wilkes? We're in 2009, 7th on the road, expecting an awful lot from this rally. It's his home event, of course, and after 4 times in a row, really wanted to do something special. Felt confident, in fact, the first 2 stages really were his own.
It's very early in the rally, and it was important to make a good start on home ground, and we did it. You know, it was a very tricky stage. We're focusing quite hard on this rally, and you know, we just need to relax and do our job, what we know we can do.
So, day 1 already upon us, and the crews finally had their chance to check out the treacherous conditions of the stages here in Scotland. The Cronus team reflecting on their performance and their strategy the following day.
Everything is open here, so they can talk each other to compare what they did, what they forecast for tomorrow, and so on. And this is the team spirit, and this is very important.
Everybody on medium compounds and the majority running Michelins. So the real art to make a difference was just how you cut them. With all the mud on the roads and the recent rainfall, loose rocks as well, it depends on how many blocks you cut out and how much weaker the tyre would be if you took too many.
It's very important also because it changed the feeling of the car, the grip of the tyre on the ground. But it depends of how the weather is tomorrow. I mean, if it's full rain, could be more cut than expected, and if it's more dry than expected, also could be less cuts. But we have, with the team, we have a lot of experience about that, so we have some plan ready. Just depend of the weather of tomorrow morning.
Tonight it was slippery out there, and more so than they expected. So were you happy with what you went with tonight?
Yeah. I mean, we just talked about it, and they said the car was perfect, the tire, the cut were very exactly like they has to do. So yeah, it was very good.
First night done then. Battle to recommence in the morning. Stages 3 and 4. Yes, it wasn't long before we were back in action.
Is a favourite with so many of the drivers. Flat out crests and blind corners added with this rain make it super fast and super slippery.
Oh yes. First the stars to suffer the perils of these slippery conditions. Yes, on 3. Still managed his second on the day, Guy, despite a minor off, but it got an awful lot worse a little bit later on. On 4, getting himself into trouble as well. Fighting to stay at the top of his game, and well, Mikkelsen was the first man to find him on the road, I'm afraid. Yet again, Mikkelsen attacking the rally from the very start. Been close to a victory on a couple of events. Will Scotland finally be the one where he can take it? Fastest time on 3, almost 7 seconds faster than Wilkes on 4, which meant that he took the lead. Thierry Neuville, off the back of his win in San Remo, he admitted that he didn't expect too much from Scotland. Limited experience on gravel, perhaps something of a disadvantage. Third fastest on 3, fourth on 4, and third overall, 17.5 seconds down there. A real handful, it's supposed to be. Well, one of the men in the chase tried to chase down Neuville, who really, I think, drove beyond himself on a surface he just wasn't looking forward to. Brian Bouffier, yes, he said he was finding his feet on the opening stage. Didn't take him long to get to grips with the Scottish roads. Slightly tentative at first, but warm to the conditions, and indeed the grip levels, and certainly got more flowing as the rally progressed. Got the fastest time on 4, moved him up to 4th place overall. Bouffier, winner in Monty. Would he repeat the feat? Well, winning here in 2010, Euro Hannanen said the conditions were completely different in 2011, and making his comeback to the IRC after some absences. He's kind of had a whole shot through his campaign this year, but glad to be here. But wasn't finding his rhythm early on. Uncharacteristic for the Finn. Not even in the top 8 on 3. 11 seconds off the pace in 4. 6 overall. Changes to be made. Well, one stage after losing the overall lead, Guy Wilkes drove flat out in order to get back at Mikkelsen. 5th on the road, just behind his main rival. But sadly halfway through, spun on the stage. And it was to be the end, effectively, of his challenge for this one. Stuck in a ditch. Did manage to restart, but lost 6 minutes and 22nd place he dropped to overall. What a shame. Mikkelsen cruising by, as you saw. Alistair McRae, well, worse still, I suppose, for the local hero. 9th overall after opening the 4 first stages of the rally, and started 3rd on the road. The Scot soon stopping mechanical troubles. Oil pressure and some swear words.
Basically just about probably 4k's into Rochty, just in a left-hander in the ruts. There must have been a rock sticking up, and it's caught the corner of the sump guard, which banged up against the sump and split the sump, so we had to pull over because we were losing all the oil.
Leader in the overall standings after taking a first stage win on 3, second on 4. Scared by hitting a rock, incidentally, early on in the rally, but went 5, then 6, giving him a 33-second lead over Brian Bouffier. Who else but Andreas Mikkelsen? So relaxed, unbelievable. We asked him about it. He said, oh, there's plenty of action going on underneath, he says, and inside his mind. Gunnar Andersson. Bad news again for the Proton team, I'm afraid, just one stage after McRae. His teammate, the Swede, taking a 2 minutes and 10-second penalty for being laid out of service. Dogged by battery issue during the 6th stage. Across the finish line, unfortunately. 26.6 after Mikkelsen. So with that 2:10 penalty, PG down to 12th overall. Well, as we saw since the beginning of the day, the track's very tricky under the heavy Scottish rain, which gets heavier in the afternoon. Thierry Neuville spanned twice. After the second pirouette, he lost reverse gear. Dropped 52.7 on the stage and really headed backwards, I'm afraid, in the rankings. Big learning curve for him, though, going for individual stage wins, perhaps, from then on.
I broke the reverse gear, so I had to turn with the handbrake, and it was not easy. We couldn't go to reverse, so we lost a lot of time, but it was my mistake.
Well, after some setup issues on the first loop, Jura Hannanen made a lot of changes at the service park. Priority, suspension. I'm more confident at the wheel, the flying fin. Yeah, it's just started to attack on the second loop of the day. Third fastest on 6, then second on 7. So now third overall, and looking to try and close the gap, especially on Brian Bouffier. Mikkelsen, though, still sailing out there, out in front.
The tire works differently on the inside and outside, and the outside is for lateral grip, and the inside is for braking and acceleration. And depends how much water it is and how much mud. Especially on the outside, if it's really muddy, you need a very open pattern, so you can dig into the ground. And okay, if you do it too much, you lose grip. And but it try to find that perfect balance between how much it cuts into the ground and how much it is on top. So it's difficult, but when you get it right, it's really nice.
And he was getting it right. Won stage 7, and his gap to the rest of the field expanded to over 50 seconds. Amazing. Bouffier, nearest man to him. Hannanen and Markula closing the gap, though, on Bouffier and Pansieri. Just a second further behind, so second place starting to loom large in Hannanen's mind. Kopecky wasn't really firing on all cylinders, I'm afraid. He was, literally speaking, but yes, not metaphorically. Stay with us, we'll have more from the Rally of Scotland after this. Welcome back, the third and final day of the Rally of Scotland. Sunshine. Oh yes. And some very, very bright performances as well. An intensive day to be finished off at Scone Castle. We have just about all the weather we could ask for here, and the performances as well. And with the car now matching his driving skills on 6, Hannanen went on the attack. Takes the first stage victory of the rally and moved to second overall on stage 9. Ahead of Bouffier, only runs 8th on this one. Hannanen, yes, 4 seconds was the gap between himself and second place. Boko Setenkaya, she's had a, how can we describe it? Probably a campaign full of holes. But finally she's here again.
Because there were only 2 events left when we took the decision to come back, so we wanted to do both of them. A little bit of timing.
I think we can add on this that we got the support of the Turkish Ministry of Sports, and we got it like very last minute, so that's why we're doing the last 2 rounds.
For testing with the car, we did hardly 60 kilometers, and we just jumped in and started, so everything was quite last minute and difficult, but at least it's a start. Yeah, exactly. We are here, we arrived, and
we struggle all the time to race, so it's okay, we're used to it.
Well, in these conditions they did a terrific job, to be honest. Very, very brave indeed. Reserved for 2 events this time. A bigger campaign planned for next season, which is good.
This is kind of a dream for us, but we don't know yet, of course. It's really budgetary problems, and we're hoping to get some. We're hoping to get some budgets. So yes.
all could be difficult, but we will try at least for 5-6 rounds. Yes.
Well, after struggling with setup on the first day, Patrick Sandel felt a lot better on day 3. A great run, second best time on stage 9. He then went on to win stage 10, but joy was short-lived. That incident there just before the finish line forced him to retire with a broken suspension. Can you believe it? Within sight of the timing gate. Oh dear. Thierry Neuville. Well, stage 10 wasn't good for him. 8th on the road, battling with the young Brit Craig Breen for 4th place overall, but the Belgian making a mistake and spinning once again. Worse than the day before. 27th time only on stage 10. Lost another 5 places, tumbling down the order. Well, just a short distance from the end of stage 10, Neuville and his co-driver Nico Gilschul. Yes, after that incident, limited time to make checks on the tyres, pressure on the crew, no time to stop and talk. Neuville refinding his focus. For the Skoda boys, it was Jan doing the checks.
Yeah, and just making some last changes to the car. How are you feeling going into this one?
Yeah, it's a long stage, and again, I don't know where is the start and where is the finish. It's everything new for us, and this rally is very tricky.
What changes are you making here?
Only just checking the pressure, if any tire is not flat.
Thanks.
Well, in this week's face-to-face, we focus on stage 11, High Corrie, the longest stage of the rally, 27.08 kilometres. This is where some serious time can be made up. And Hannanen had already written off the rally, but he came to 11 and he thought he'd go on a charge. He was feeling comfortable. Mikkelsen had been putting in a shining performance throughout the rally of Scotland, headed into the stage with a comfortable lead of 48 seconds. Wow. Well, when you look at the driving style of the two Skoda drivers, there are some clear differences in their approach. You see that Andreas is staying on line. Hannanen going off an awful lot more, making all the cuts he possibly could. Hannanen, well, he was out to do some damage, and in the end, the difference between these two was 20-odd seconds. Unbelievable. What a charge it was. And Hannanen, well, he suddenly made us all believe that he could win this one. Completely separate missions, perhaps. Mikkelsen, knowing he'd got a cushion, wanted to preserve that but go quickly. Hannanen, well, throwing perhaps caution to the wind, but he had the skills to deliver it. Amazing. Just look how much further down the road Hannanen was. Mikkelsen fully aware that he had it all in his hands after so many near misses. He did not want to throw it away this time.
This is the most difficult part of the stage, very muddy. Mainly it was, I think, more difficult for Andreas. He had a good lead, and controlling that lead and maybe take one step back with the speed on these conditions, it has to be difficult. For me it was, I think, more easier for today, because I was a bit fighting with the Brian and I had to go faster, so I think for me it was not that difficult as it was in Andreas.
Well, in the clip we showed you, he gained 2 seconds. It was over 20 seconds for the 27-kilometre stage. Remarkable. Well, finding a better rhythm also on 11, Frenchman Brian Bouffier taking the third best time, but only a few tenths behind Brit Guy Wilkes, who was still campaigning, of course, after losing those 6 minutes and 21 seconds because of his spin early on. Good balance sees the Frenchman taking back third overall, 50 seconds ahead of Brit Craig Breen, who was brilliant in the Ford Fiesta, already a winner of the WRC Academy event in Finland. Yes, the 21-year-old finds 7th place at the Barron Rally and going even better here. Yes, had his problems as well along the way. Engine trouble. Yes, a misfire, we understand, because of exhaust damage, but still up to 4th overall. Amazing. Nikara on there as well. Very fine performance by him in the Mitsubishi Lancer. In Group N, the young Finn is improving his pace during the first loop. 7th on 9, 6th on 10, 4th on 12. Unbelievable. Euro Hannanen as well remained flat out on 13. The last real stage. Yes, the rerun indeed again of High Corrie. This time though only managed to take 6.3 seconds off Mikkelsen, who'd won the intermediate stage, and as a result it was looking more and more likely to be Mikkelsen's rally. Brian Bouffier with no hope of taking second spot. The comfortable gap on 4th. Bouffier bedded himself in for 3rd, but had a real braking problem. Had to stop and disconnect one of the brakes. Too eager though, jumped the stage start, took a 10-second penalty. And Nikara, well, bad news from the 13th special stage came for him, driving flat out the Finn into a ditch, couldn't restart, his rally over. Was running 8th overall in the classification. A remarkable performance by Nikara. We'll take a break and we'll show you how it all finished. Would Mikkelsen finally take the top step? Find out in a moment. Welcome back. So it all came down to the last few runs. Well, benefiting from Thierry Neuville's mistakes, Tony Gardemeister, 6th in the overall classification before the last 6 kilometres, which made up of 2 special stages at the very end at Scone Palace, only 4 seconds ahead of the Belgian. But Neuville taking the last 2 short stages of the rally to regain 6th spot on a margin of just 1 second. Amazing. So a terrific scrap between Gardemeister and Neuville at the very last. More compact, I think, stage suited Neuville. Well, leader of the overall IRC standings with 25 points gap in the best of 7 classification, Jan Kipetski. Fairly anonymous in the Rally of Scotland, I've got to say, with stage results finishing between 6th and 10th place. So solid, you might say, rather than spectacular. But with the finish line in view, the tech driver went flat out in the last stage and set his best performance with a 3rd place on that stage. 5th in the end. Kipetski, yes, not exactly at home here, but most importantly for him, stays in the lead of the championship standings. Craig Green, one of the most remarkable performances of the rally, had to be from the young Brit. 4th overall, his best result in the IRC. 7th, don't forget, in Barham. Unable to match the best of the super fast Peugeots and Skodas, Ford Fiesta S2000 chose to drive carefully and gain experience by finishing, yes, something he did with flair. Up 12 spots overall, now sitting 10th in the IRC standings. Good boy. Brian Bouffier started the season, of course, with a bang. Did well, winning Monaco, Monte Carlo Rally. And with 1 stage, stage 4, and 2 second-best times on 5 and 13. It was a pretty good rally. Finally settled himself in, but it was the 3rd step of the podium. Finally won that battle with Craig Green, 45 seconds ahead of Green, incidentally, at the end, and still in the battle for the championship title. Not bad. So Juha Hänninen, despite doing great work on stage 11, it wasn't to be, was it, towards the end? Some supercharging. Hänninen showing that he's a force on gravel and tarmac at a superb final day. Without suspension issues on the first loop, surely he could have won, but finally finishes on the 2nd step of the podium, 26.4 seconds behind Mikkelsen. Job well done.
The main target why we came here is to get the points for the team, for the manufacturer, and it seems that if it goes like this to the finish, so it's enough for the Skoda. So main target we achieved over here, and we are happy with this.
Andreas Mikkelsen. He responded on 13 in High Corrie, and after 3 big disappointments of 2011, the Azores, Hungary and San Remo, finally he has won a rally. Relaxed, aggressive, skillful, focused, determined, good looking too. With 5 stage victories, he was simply the best. He's finally cracked it. Couldn't happen to a nicer guy.
Wow, what a perfect weekend, I must say. It's from start to finish, no problems. Okay, 1 puncture in the end, and things have just worked perfectly. The car has been absolutely immaculate, and the team has done a perfect job. And to score our first win in the IRC here in Scotland on home soil for Skoda UK. Oh, yes, so important.
David Bogie. Intercom problems on 2 stages on day 1, so he lost time, but running brilliantly in his Lancer Evo 9. His hopes were dashed when he ran wide on a corner, tore off the left rear wheel of his car, striking a submerged rock on the side of the road. His rally ended on stage 11. 4th IRC event for Toshi Arai, Corsica, Azores and Hungary under his belt. Fighting with Bogie on day 1, leading after Bogie's retirement on 11 despite a puncture in the stage, and finally wins the rally class. First victory of the year with a points coefficient of 1.5. He climbs from 8th to 2nd in the production class drivers standings with 61 points. Jason Pritchard in his Subaru Impreza, 4th after day 1, benefited from 2 retirements to take 2nd place overall, 2 minutes behind Arai, scoring his first championship points of the year. 5th in the production class drivers championship. Fumio Lutahara driving to 3rd overall after stage 13 thanks to Bogie and Nikara's retirements. It was busy out there. Florian Gournon then of Switzerland maintains his lead overall in the drivers' standings, as we had for the grand finale. Toshi Arai on 61 points, with Marco Cavagnoli of Italy on 37 points. In the two-wheel drive cup, Martin Kongur put a frustrating season behind him in his Honda Civic Type R, the young Estonian, moving in front of Mark Donnelly. And Donnelly retired on his Clio R3 with a broken engine sadly on Saturday afternoon. Harry Hunt should have finished second but slid into a ditch on stage 11. And John Michael Rao missed a golden opportunity to move ahead of Stefano Albertini, who is not competing in Scotland. Yes, to the top of the two-wheel drive cup standings, but he went off on 13, unfortunately for him. And Scottish star John McCrone finished second in his M Sport Ford Fiesta, with Janos Puscardi third for Honda, which crowns the Japanese maker as the unofficial IRC two-wheel drive cup manufacturers championship. So Mikkelson's success combined with Johansson's second place and Skoda its second IRC manufacturer's title in as many years. It also means the 22-year-old from Norway becomes the youngest IRC event winner in the 6 different victories that we've had this season. Amazing, extremely open, super competitive, and a beautiful backdrop to boot. Rally Scotland, a huge success, thanks to the good people of Stirlingshire, Perth and Kinross for their help with the event. Mikkelsen then goes top, but 6 drivers are in with a chance of the title. The IRC Colin McRae Flat-Out Trophy is an initiative in association with the Colin McRae Vision charity, celebrating the style and spirit of the legendary driver. Sit back and enjoy some of these images. Well, in memory of Colin, the Colin McRae Vision charity raises money to help and improve the health and education of children from around the world. And at Rally of Scotland, Jimmy McRae was on hand, Colin's father and ambassador for the charity. And an opportunity to highlight their good work by donating a cheque for £5,700 to the Children's Hospice Association of Scotland. Terrific. All the judges on the panel for the Flat-Out Trophy decided it was the Finn, Jarkko Nikara, worthy of the title in Scotland. With only a small budget, he proved his strength and determination. Some fantastic results on the gravel stages here on his IRC debut, leading the production standings, only to crash out on the final forest stage of the rally. The judges believed that it was he that most displayed and matched the spirit of the late Colin. So, the standings after Scotland. Kapetsky stays on top, ahead of Hannon, Neuville, the Belgian, and Mikkelsen, winner in Scotland. Yes, Brian Bouffier and Freddie Loix as well. Even Freddie could win it. Will they all go to Cyprus? Let's hope so. Guy Wilkes, well, I'd love to see him there, but he'll make the trip. I do not know. Heartbreak for him. Skoda, dominant. The Cyprus Rally joined the IRC for the first time in 2010 and became an instant hit with the drivers and the fans alike. Rough and rocky gravel roads, smooth and broken asphalt, plus punishing ambient temperatures, all combined to make the event, based in the hills near Paphos, one of the toughest in the calendar. We'll be there. Hope you can join us. Don't forget, you can always catch up with your results live with your IRC iPhone app. Well worth keeping in touch with. I'm Carlton Kirby. It was myself and Andrew Coley who had your company in Scotland. Join us again for Cyprus.